for those of you who don't know, my name is Tara O'Connor. I'm the project coordinator of the online family care support group, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about where we come from and just our general operations, how we do things. So very quickly, going back to how it started, to go back to 2020, prior to COVID, Care Alliance worked mainly in the background on policy and research supporting member organisations. We didn't do direct work with family carers. But then in March 2020, COVID happened, and literally overnight, everything ceased. Respite, daycare, face-to-face support groups all stopped. It was a time of massive confusion and misinformation for everybody, but especially for family carers who were looking after and felt responsible for a vulnerable loved one at home. So some organisations were a bit slower to respond and found it very challenging, but Care Alliance, thanks to our small size at the time, it was just Liam and Zoe, and because they had the support of the board behind them, were able to pivot and very quickly put together and focus the organisation on the online family care support project. So the overall aims of the project, the initial aims first is to have a space that you can get reliable, trustworthy information. And that is still true to this day. It's one of the things we're very proud of, is that all the information that we give out is absolutely trustworthy, it's factual. If needed, we'll get clarification from the DSP, but you won't get misinformation, rumours, hearsay. And then one of the main aim is to facilitate peer support between family carers, because there's no one that understands what it's like to be a family carer than another family carer. And being with people and being able to connect with people who just get it. You don't need to explain yourself. That connection is priceless. And then we also aim to signpost to services and other organisations that may be of benefit for family carers. So the main objectives of the project were, and still are to this day, one, to increase the overall well-being of family carers in Ireland, and to reduce the negative impacts often experienced. Family carers are proven to be at a significantly greater risk of isolation and depression and anxiety than the general population. There. So our online support project is run through the Facebook platform. And you can see here is just a screenshot of what it looks like. We have members' faces are blocked out, but this is a private group. So only members can see who is in it and what is posted. And when a family carer posts here, nothing shows up on their timeline. Their friends don't know. But even within the group, we also have the feature that you can post anonymously. So now moderators, admin, I can still see who post, but for the rest of the group, you just appear as group member. And that makes it really helpful. That means that you can discuss sensitive topics, ask questions about issues such as incontinence, while still protecting the privacy of your loved one. So why Facebook? One was the setup, speed and cost. On Facebook, you can literally start a group with a click of a button and for free, which obviously works well when you're a charity. But really, by using Facebook, that's where the carers already are. From the latest figures from Facebook, we have over 4 million users of Facebook in Ireland. This graph shows the demographic of Facebook users. And the largest cohort of family carers in Ireland are women in the 35 to 54 age group. And that's a cohort heavily represented in the Facebook users. And it's very important for me to point out that we are not just a Facebook group. We are a professionally moderated, funded support group that happens to use the Facebook platform. And by using Facebook as the medium to connect with our family carers, that means that we're integrated into their daily lives. So you don't have an extra step of having to go and log in to a different forum. It comes up, it's part of your scroll as you have your morning coffee. And I think that really helps with the connection and the high engagement levels, which I'll speak about shortly. So just a brief overview of our operations. The most important bit, peer support. Peer support is the central part of the group. There's nothing like talking with someone who understands what you're going through, who has been there. Then we have the professional guidance and referrals. And then we have the various social activities that we offer. And I'm going to explain a bit more about the social activities and their importance later on. So I have a team of volunteer moderators who work with me every day, and they're absolutely the heart of the group, and we wouldn't be able to do it without them. At the minute, we have a team of 11 volunteers. They are made up of a mix of current and former family carers and professionals working in the mental health field. So all of our family carer volunteers were originally regular members of the group who were approached after we saw them respond supportively to other members and asked them would they come on board as volunteers. And in fact, that is how I became involved myself. I originally joined the group in the early days of COVID. I was then caring for my mother-in-law. I became a volunteer, and then when funding became available for, initially it was a part-time project worker, I joined the Care Alliance staff, and eventually as things progressed, I have moved into this full-time project management role. So that gives me a real unique perspective as I've experienced the group from all sides, kind of, so to speak. But having our volunteers from different backgrounds and who have different caring experiences facilitates a real unique holistic element of support to the group. Important thing to know is that all posts are pre-moderated on our group. Nothing is approved unless it passes through myself or one of my volunteer teams, and all comments are read on the group. We work on a 7-day-a-week rota. And that's 365 days a year. Somebody is always on. So there's always somebody approving posts and keeping an eye on the comments. Volunteers also assist with the various activities which we offer, and I'll explain more about. So the Mods Involved groups, that stands for our moderator and volunteer group. We have a separate private group for the moderators and volunteers, which we use. And we use this to discuss challenging issues that come up, to discuss appropriate responses, where is the best place to direct this person to, who has experience in this area, those type of topics that come up. We are quite fortunate in that the overall culture of the online group is really supportive, really friendly, and everyone is genuinely kind to each other. So it's very rare that we have to step in and take disciplinary action against someone. But if it is required, we absolutely will. There's zero tolerance for any kind of nastiness, sniping, mean. That just doesn't go. So our volunteers are constantly keeping an eye, and they'll let me know if there's anything they're concerned about. We also use this private group for resources for our volunteers. They have a file section where they have the contact details of different organizations or template responses to the most commonly asked questions. We hold monthly formal Zoom meetings between the staff and the volunteers, so we all know what's going on. Anyone can bring up issues, and we can keep them updated on the admin side of things. And then volunteer support is something we take very seriously. Our volunteers are mostly family carers themselves, so we want to make sure protect them and that they're not being negatively affected by their volunteering. We've done online moderation training with a specialist from the UK, particularly focusing on the concept of self-care and protecting yourself as the volunteer, because you can be dealing with some difficult issues that come up. You know, the Mods group is also kind of a place where volunteers can just vent and support each other. Hopefully one indication that we're doing something right is that we have a very slow turnover of volunteers. Many of the current team have been with us for more than 4 years now, like nearly since the beginning of the project. We have a range of activities available, and they all have the same aim: to encourage family carers to participate and reduce the loneliness and isolation many experience. All of our activities are online. That makes it so much more accessible for family carers. You don't need to worry about replacement care costs or travel to the nearest town. It's all available from your house. We have weekly Zoom coffee mornings, as well as regular competitions where we send hundreds of care hampers around. Some slightly more on some of the activities are Zoom quiz night. We have this every month. We often have themed topics and it's really lighthearted fun. Some of the most recent themes that we did, we had a wildlife one. Our Christmas in July has now become like an annual event. Most recently in July just gone, we had 2 fully kitted out Santas came, like members really get into it and really enjoy it. And we recently had a Disney one too. Everyone who attends is entered into the hat to win a spot prize. It's not about getting the questions right. It's about being there, taking part, having a bit of fun for an hour and just being able to have a laugh. Then another one we do is our book club. So just the simple act of receiving a book in the post has a real kind of positive impact. And it's another avenue for connection. So how our book club works is that it takes place every 3 months or so. I post a choice of 4 books from all different genres, so everybody can find something they like in it. We purchase and send out around 80 books to family carers all around the country. About 6 to 8 weeks later, we have our books Zoom book night. Sorry, we have our Irish book supplier. To say it is, we work with Kenny's in Galway, who are fantastic and help us with the logistics of this so much. Then we have our book club Zoom night, and that means we all join on Zoom, go into breakout rooms with the other people who have read your book, and you can literally chat away about the book you've read and about anything. Again, it's all about the connection and just a way of socializing and connecting with other carers who understand. And you can see it's just a lovely quote there from somebody after her first one. Garden Club is another one. It's also very popular. We call it Carers in Bloom is the title. So with the Garden Club, we send out flower seeds, vegetable seeds, pumpkins, you name it. Last year, we also sent out bulb lasagna kits, which were really popular. I think everybody knows there's many studies have found gardening can have a really positive effect on your mental health. So you get a kind of 2 for 1. You get the added benefit and encouragement to go out in the fresh air, but also the opportunity to connect and engage with like-minded family carers. There's just some lovely quotes from people who had got stuff from us with our bulb lasagna kit. The last activity I'm going to do is our art classes. This is one of our most popular activities, and this is facilitated by my colleague Amy, who teaches the class. It's now been running for just over 2 years, and we're in the middle of our 9th course. They're incredibly popular, as some of these quotes show. How it works is at the start of each 8-week course, we send out the art supplies to about 25 people. Previous participants are welcome to come along and they supply their own material. It's all done online, it's via Zoom, and people really get so much out of the classes. We started a dedicated art thread within the group where people can share the paintings they create in class. And I checked this morning and it's now over 2,600 comments and images in that one thread of people just sharing, commenting and looking back over all the work that they've done over the years, the paintings. The calendar. We started this a couple of years ago and it really caught on and it's really caught the hearts of our members. It was originally an add-on of the Garden Club. We created from images that members submitted of their gardens. So this is of this year's 1 September. We have one member in the group who, without fail, posts a really uplifting quote every single day. Like, she's famous for it now. And if she's late posting, people are genuinely concerned about her. But her posts are so special. So each month we always include one of her quotes in the calendar. We was touch and go for a while there, but we've decided we are going to go ahead and we are going to do the calendar again for 2025, but we're going to expand it slightly. So as well as getting photos from the gardening club. We're also going to let our members include some of the artwork that they created over throughout the classes. We will be launching that in the group next week for members to take part in. Then just have here, that's a few lovely quotes from members. The comments and messages we receive are really what show the impact the group has, but that's the kind of data it doesn't really show in numbers and statistics. So as part of our quarterly reporting to the HSE, we made sure to include a qualitative feedback section so that we can showcase some of this type of feedback that would get lost just in the statistics and numbers there. But of course, numbers do still matter. Numbers look better in a graph. We can see here how membership has grown over time. You see, as of today, we're now at over 8,500 group members, growing every day. This is all organic growth just from word of mouth there. So one more advantage of using Facebook is that we get Facebook analytics, which can give us a bit more detailed breakdown of member activity. So as we just saw, we've currently just over 8,500 members. At the moment, membership continues to rise at a rate of 4 per day at the minute. That can vary around Carers Week, that can go up to 12 per day joining. So this graph here just gives you a brief overview of member activity throughout the last year, from August 23 to August 24. And you can see in that time, we had over 1,700 posts, over 53,000 comments, and over 123,000 reactions. So there's a lot of activity that people are in. We have a retention rate of 97%. So that means that 97% of people who were a member in August 2023 are still a member in August 2024. So we're finding people aren't leaving. They're staying, even if it's gone, there may no longer be an active caring role, they still stay part of the community. And we want them to, because they have so much experience and advice to pass on to other members. We can also see with the Facebook analytics on the engagement levels. So we have over 90% of our members are active in this time period. That's a really, really high figure. And again, that goes back to, I think, our decision to use Facebook because it's integrated into people's lives. It means it comes much more naturally and fluidly that people regularly interact on a regular basis. So previously, we did a quick snapshot poll in the group, asking carers if they had been involved in face-to-face groups prior to COVID. Remember, initially, this was set up kind of in terms of, oh, well, until face-to-face, that people wanted face-to-face and they couldn't have it at that time. But actually, 91% of people had never been involved in face-to-face. So it indicates there is a whole cohort of family carers that were never into the traditional support models. For whatever reason, it just doesn't work for them, whether it's too awkward getting out of the house or they just don't want to sit in a room and have a cup of tea with other people, which is fine. But it does indicate it. And as our membership numbers have shown, there is a continued growth and need for the online option. This is just a couple of the highlights of another survey we undertook. This showed that 94% of members found the group helpful to their own situation. And this one, I think, is really important. 96% of members have never had any negative experience or they've never witnessed a negative experience in the group. When you think in terms of social media, which I think we're all aware can be a nasty place at times, I think that's a testament to the work of the volunteers, the staff, but also just the community that has built up in the online group. It really has got just kindness and support is the overarching theme that people nearly moderate themselves. And that 96%, I think, really shows that. Now, collaboration. We're always open to collaborating with the other organizations. I will signpost and refer. I will share anything that other organizations are doing that might be of benefit to our members. We've run joint courses and activities. As I said, we're always open. this is just a quick overview of some of the organisations we've recently had. I regularly have people come in, they do an informational chat over Facebook Live to let people know about the services they offer, in particular in relation to carers. So to tell you just quickly about a research programme. So in collaboration with the University of Limerick, this is a PhD by Rosemary Daines Kearney, who is investigating the impact of online support groups for carers. Specifically, why are they important, what works well, and who uses them? So part of her research specifically looked at our online family carer support group, and Rosemary carried out interviews with members of the group. The results were really positive, and the central theme coming through is how members described the group as their lifeline and how it helped them to cope better. So it clearly showed that our support group does have a meaningful positive impact. And there's a link there directly to the full paper, which if we can share with the slides later. And I think Rosemary also currently has another paper pending publication. Just wanted to highlight a couple of the main themes that came through Rosemary's research, because it was really interesting. The main themes that she found absolutely mirror the kind of anecdotal sentiments we've been getting from members. And that are things like, the main one is the group are a tribe and the tribe gets it. That whole idea of where you don't have to over-explain, somebody else understands where you're coming from. The sub-themes there, invisibility, which I think every family carer feels at some point, that my tribe understands I'm more than just a carer, and that just being part of the tribe can be enough. Then you have the tribe as a lifeline and life-changing. Sharing knowledge and experience and support made me feel visible. That's why we have a lot of people stay on even when their caring role ends. And the connection relieves the experience of loneliness and social isolation. Rosemary also picked out about the leadership of the group moderators, and that helps to create the tribe identity. And in her research, she does say about the benefit of strong, consistent moderation is something that also came across in her research. So just on the funding side of things, initially in 2020, our initial funding was through the Community Foundation of Ireland and then small bits from the National Lottery. Then in 2021, we were granted recurring funding from the HSE, which was fantastic because it's recognition of the value that the project provides, and that hopefully they can see the value that we provide. It means that the project is sustainable going into the future. And we have submitted a business case to the HSE for enhanced funding for 2025 and beyond, which would allow us to not only maintain the service we provide to our current members, but allow us to expand and grow and to continue supporting as many family carers as we can. And thank you so much for your time today. There's our contact details are there, but if anybody has any questions, I would try my very best to answer them.
Thank you, Tara. I think there's already a couple of comments. Chats there, so we might start with those, and then if people want to put their hands up as well, if they've any questions. So we might start off with the top one. Just a message from Dylan. I think he may be a member of the online group. Hi Tara, we got the men's group up and running today and had a great review from all the men in the group. So
that's brilliant. That's in associated with Family Carers Ireland. I meet quite regularly with the Family Carers Ireland representative, and they were working on getting a men's only group up. So thank you, Dylan. I'm delighted that came
I just have one thing to say. That's guys, the coffee morning on Friday. That encouraged me to get the men's group. And not being sexist or racist or anything like that. It's just like there's other men that was on it, and they said there's only one or two men they meet up. So we decided, right, Nora and Tara, I'll get in contact with you. But I got in contact with you, but got me the balls of going ahead and just get it up and running.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Dylan. No, I'm glad. We do our coffee morning is on every Friday morning since we started about 3.5 years ago, and we haven't missed 1 week every Friday since.
And we're very conscious. There's a lot of men caring out there, and they are less inclined to join online groups. So
Yeah.
anything we do to reach out to male family carers is important. Okay, question from Licia, from our friend over in Italy. I'm wondering, when you got the original funding, was it covering 4 years, or was it for shorter, and then you had to fundraise again to continue?
In there, I think you're referring to the HSE funding here. So to say, so the HSE funding, it is recurring, but it's on a yearly basis. So we have it, but the other funding we have in terms, got funding from the Community Foundation, and that would again be on kind of a year-long basis with specific.
More philanthropic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not recurring. Yeah. Okay. Question from Elaine. Tara, this is most inspiring. If someone does not have a Facebook account, for example, due to the nature of their work, are they able to access the activities?
In there, that is now, that is the one drawback. Unfortunately, we can't be all things for all people. Is that and one of the downsides of us is that, one, you do have to have a certain level of tech ability, and you do need to have a Facebook account to join us. Everything is done through Facebook, through the Facebook groups. So that would be, and I have oftentimes had people who are maybe more elderly caring, don't have Facebook, don't want to go near Facebook, which I totally get. But it would be a case of they'd always direct them to other organisations who do still do the regular, like Family Carers Ireland, the Alzheimer's Society. They do a lot of the activities we do, but in a more in-person setting.
Okay,
so I hope that answers.
A second question from Elaine. Do you have any specific research policy groups where people with legal backgrounds can join? Happy to talk with you separately on that, maybe, Elaine, if you want to send me an email, and we're always looking for input and reviewing work and proposals. Absolutely, that'd be great. So if you contact myself or Tara directly, that would be great. Another question from Licia. One more question. Do you suggest topics to be discussed in the group, or is it totally up to members about what they want to post about? Great question.
No, totally up to members. Members post in. It might be, we get a lot of questions around income support issues with the DSP. You know, what am I entitled to? Those kind of questions, and they're the kind of ones that, especially on Facebook, there can be so much misinformation, and people get very, and it causes a lot of anxiety when anything like that is talked about. So at least it means that myself, so we can go in and go, no, this is what the situation is. But then we also have members who put in, remember one recently, she put up just to say, like, her 14-year-old child said for the first time he went to the shops by himself. And she's like, and none of her family or friends understood this milestone that it was. But immediately she got about 50 responses like, oh my God, I'm like, that's absolutely, because people understood what seems like a normal, sure, every 14-year-old come up to the shop. It's not. For somebody caring with someone with additional needs, that can be a massive milestone. And you can share things like that with the group. The only time I'd say, in terms of, like, I will post things that I see. So if there's a course Family Carers Ireland are doing, I'll post it. That might start a bit of a conversation on that topic. But no, like 99% of it is whatever issues, whatever problems somebody is currently having, that's what they post and what they talk about.
So we might bring you in there around budget stuff. Do you want to say about how we manage that?
That was why I was putting up my hand. I just wanted to let people know that we also do, throughout the year, there's always a couple of like big milestone events that happens that can be quite maybe anxiety raising, or there's just a lot of information gets thrown out for family carers. And the big one obviously is the budget, which happens the second week in October. So in the weeks leading up to it, I'll put up, or Tara will start a distinct discussion thread for that topic. And what we do there is we try and make sure that all of the questions and queries that come in about budget topics, what's going to happen in the budget, what are my changes, go into that one thread. And that's purely to stop the group getting overwhelmed by lots of the same questions, but also so that I can kind of make sure that I can answer everybody and I see all the questions, because obviously I'm as policy officer, I'm kind of I'm the person who writes the pre-budgets and all that kind of stuff, with, you know, referring back to our members and stuff like that. So it's to try and keep all of those in one place. And for example, another example of that was previously this year, most of us will have been aware of the referendums that were going on. And we obviously knew that it was going to be a little bit contentious, a little bit, you know, whatever it was, a bit
divisive.
Yeah, potentially divisive. And what we wanted to make sure is that people were getting accurate information but we weren't telling people they couldn't talk about the bad things that they saw within the proposals or the good things. You know, we were kind of just, everybody could say what they wanted. Obviously, as long as people were being respectful, that was the main thing. So that was what we had, one thread that was about those discussions to try and make sure that the information was accurate and we could kind of dispel a lot of the rumors and the just lies, to be honest with you, that went around a little bit. And to actually confirm some of the stuff that people were disappointed in, like, yeah, it doesn't go far enough, or it doesn't go this way, or whatever it might be. So yeah, so we do
Thanks for
that
that,
as
Tara.
well.
Zoe, we have another question here from Valerie in Coolock F4C, or 10 Coolock F4C. Where or who did your training for moderators? They're challenged to do that well. So Tara, you might speak to that a little.
And there, yeah. So in terms of, I'm wondering if you're talking about the volunteers that I use as moderators, how I train them, or the
external training,
we
I
get
think,
in.
maybe.
The external, so
Maybe
external
Serena.
training is this fantastic lady, Serena Snood from the UK. She's an online content moderation specialist. And in particular, we've worked with her for possibly about 3 different sessions, like 4 to 6 sessions over a period of time, and I hope to do it again next year. She's absolutely fantastic. She does a lot of online forum things,
I know
but
she
again,
led the
especially,
Alzheimer's Society in the UK, their online
yes,
service for years, and now she's, so we can give you, Tara, you might send those
yeah,
contact details on to Valerie, is that okay? And
of course,
brilliant.
no problem.
Okay, just some congratulations from Stephen in University of Limerick. Congratulations to everyone involved, part of the research team supporting Rosemary in UL. Particular group can be used as the gold standard. That's great to hear, and I'm sure Kate and Brian and our other colleagues in the Department of Health and the HSC are seeing and hearing that, and thanks to them for their internal support, because you do need champions within state bodies to understand, challenge, and you know, advocate for us. So thank you to you guys. There's Brian speaking. Question: the demographic profile of the group, and could you elaborate what's meant by referrals? So yeah, I might speak a little bit on the demographic profile. I mean, Facebook, for all it's worth, does capture demographic data unless you kind of opt out of that. But yeah, we can, scarily in some ways, but we know there's, you know, 27 people who've said they live in Bantry, or that's the extent of the granularity. But we can drill down to, so that's why we say confidently that there's family carers in every small town in Ireland. I mean, it's slightly cliched, but there is truth to that, really. We know the gender breakdown is 85-15, I think. We have all sorts of numbers. I suppose we're slightly cautious about sharing them publicly because, well, we haven't got people's consent to do that. So there's a slight, you know, obviously we want to demonstrate wide reach, but also we need to be cognizant of not misusing any data we may have, and that we don't have permission to share. So we shared at a global level, and we'd, you know, when we're reporting to our colleagues in the HSC, we'd share some of those details. Is that accurate, Tara? Is that a fair summary of the piece?
Yeah, no, just I think that the male-female breakdown is unfortunately skewed a bit more. I think it's more like, in our group, it's more like 96% female, and it's quite, there is quite a disparity, unfortunately. But that does seem to be a trend with online support groups that's there. But obviously, as Dylan said earlier, hopefully there are some out there who are reaching out and are active users, which is great to see.
And I think there's a second part to Brian's question.
Yeah.
Could you elaborate what we mean by referrals? What does that look like?
So for us, we don't have the capacity. I'm me. So I'm with one full-time staff member working on the project. We don't have the capacity for one-to-one casework. But what we can do is we try and signpost and refer people to the most appropriate organization, the most appropriate person for what they are. And that can look different. It might be that I just share someone, okay, I know if you go to Family Carers Ireland, they can help you with this. Or it might be, if that person seems particularly distressed, it might be, I go, okay, they tell me they live in Donegal. So I give the support manager in Donegal a call and say, actually, can you link in with this person here? And do that. So I kind of try and look around. We try and make sure that people are going to the right place to get what they need. And then also we have got social workers within the team and within our volunteer team. So that means if something is a bit more complicated or there's any concerns, I can go to them and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking, how should I handle this? Is this the correct way? Is this where we send person? So it's not, so we very much work as a team and work with the wider nonprofit sector to try and get as many different people involved and as everybody that can help to help and spread awareness for all of the options that are out there.
Thanks for that, Tara. Comprehensive response. Another minute or two if people have any more questions, either in the chat or just put your hand up or even just speak. I think you're all muted by default, so you'll need to unmute yourself if you wish to have a question.
No, I just want to say thank you. Thank you very much, Tara. It was really interesting to hear, because I've set up peer support before, but your whole way of the moderators, there being volunteers trained, I think it's essential online, because we've had a few difficulties with a parent online support group we've had. And this is why I was curious about your training and support, because it seems to be working so effectively. And just to say about the men, we do online and in person, and the women dominate 90%. So I'm not sure what happens to men, but they don't.
Thanks for that,
Valerie,
Valerie.
I'll be happy to get in touch with you after this. I'd be happy to set up a Zoom call and we can chat more in person about what we're doing and how we do it. And
Couple more congrats from
Just-
people, from Kate, from Risha, and from Margaret. Thank you. Stephen, did you want to say something there?
I was just about to raise my hand button, Liam, but yes, Liam, I just want to pick up on something that Valerie said there. It's like there is a lot of online groups or kind of e-health groups for family carers, and it's like the Wild West. You know, they don't have moderators out there. They're led by peers who have a certain agenda. So there's a lot of misinformation being posted out there. So when Rosemary was doing her PhD, she did a scoping review. I'm looking at that landscape. And as I said, it is like the Wild West. There's no best practice guidelines. And what you're doing here in Carlisle is really the gold standard. It's a model that other groups could be using, especially around the moderators, the moderator trainings. Because the important of that is creating a sense of belonging, but a safe space, a sense of trustworthiness by doing all, and that's really important to this vulnerable group. They need to feel that safe space and a sense of belonging. And a spin-off from all those like social activities that were happening, the book club, receiving the seeds, there's a spin-off in terms of health benefits as well that didn't come up through all of this. So there's an indirect pathway to health, even though you're providing, you know, like information, all this kind of stuff. There's indirect pathways to health that we have found evidence to show that this group has other effects besides what you're offering, the signposting and stuff like that. I just
Thanks,
wanted
Stephen.
to say,
And look, that's really, and I suppose we want our colleagues in the HSE and Department of Health to hear that as well and be advocates through those routes, be it health promotion, be it e-health, because there's a whole new e-health policy across the HSE that's being signed off. And we want it to be more than just electronic health records. We want it to be utilising technology to deliver good health gain, and we think that's what we're doing. Dylan has a question there. Go ahead, Dylan.
I'm just wondering, how do you come voluntary for doing all this as well, just to help out?
there. But Dylan, if you want to send me a message, I can have a chat with you about how we take on volunteers in different kind of groups. So because it does take a lot, it's a longer term training. We're not one that you can kind of just do for an hour and then disappear. It's kind of a bigger commitment. But I'd be happy to, I will give you a call later on or send you a message and I can set up a time to chat to you about it.
Yeah, that's not better because my kids are all in school. I'm just at home minding my dog.
Good man. Thank you, Dylan. Okay.
Thanks, Dylan.
Any final questions there before we wrap up? Okay. Well, look, I think we want to thank everyone as ever. Well done, Tara. I think it's a really good description of what we do, how we do it, and why we do it. And yeah, we have a good future ahead of us, I think, with this. So thanks everyone for their time, and we will have the recording up on the website in the near future on the project page on Care Alliance.